Good morning, students. We were doing a gorilla in the guest room, and today we have to start from page 76. So, on the last turn, we came to know that Mr. Doodle had an idea about how he's going to accumulate the money to buy the baby gorilla. He required how much money was required? Aditi.
1,200 pounds.
1,200 pounds were required to buy the baby gorilla. That was the price which was fixed by the animal dealer. So he needed 1,200 pounds. And we know about the financial condition of the narrator, that he didn't have that much money. He was already running an overdraft in a bank, and he had borrowed a lot of money from the bank which he has not yet paid. His wife didn't like the idea of having a baby gorilla for 1,200 pounds because they couldn't afford it. So she was not very happy with this whole thing. But Mr. Doodle thought of an idea, and what was the idea? What was the idea? Who will tell me? Harshdeep.
Ma'am, his idea was that instead of keeping common animals in the zoo, he will keep rare animals.
That was what he planned to do. But how did he plan to collect the money for the baby gorilla? That's what I mean.
He planned that he would ask for charity from the rich people living there.
Yes, living on the island. All these rich people who don't do anything worthwhile, instead of just rotating from one cocktail party to another, he thought that he will ask those rich people to do some charity, and that is how he will be able to collect some money and buy the baby gorilla. I suppose you are right. I said you. So he was talking to Hope, and he wanted the list of all the rich people of the island from Hope. So, but Hope said that the rich people of the island, they are average people who either don't know or don't care. So he said, Jerry said, I suppose you are right. I said you. Anyway, I think it's worth a try, don't you? So, but he agreed to what Hope said, but still he was an optimistic person, and he said that there is no harm in trying. At least we can try. It's worth a try, but I wouldn't pin too much faith on their generosity. Pinning too much faith. This is the idiom of the day. What do you mean by pinning too much faith on something or on somebody? Pin too much faith means to have a lot of hopes or a lot of expectations. When your hopes and expectations, they depend upon somebody or something, right? Then it is pinning too much faith, or it is also used as pin too much hope. So Hope said that fine, if you want to try, it's fine, but I don't think that you should have a lot of expectations from these rich people of the island, or you should expect them to be very generous, right? If I were you, said Hope. So he said, Hope said that if I were in your place, I would not expect too much from these rich people of the island. Anyway, give me half an hour and I'll bring you back. But fine, if you want to try, there's no harm in it. Go ahead. So I will call you in half an hour. I need some time to make the list, to find the names of all the rich people of the island. So just give me some time, and after that I will give you a call. Half an hour later, Hope dictated a list of about 50 people over the telephone. So after half an hour, the narrator got the call from Hope, and she gave a list of about how many people? 50 people over the telephone. She was calling out the names, and Mr. Doodle was noting down the names while I wrote them down feverishly. Feverishly means very actively, with a lot of energy. When you do something with a lot of energy and with a lot of excitement, then that is feverishly. Then I looked up the telephone number, took a deep breath and started. And then when he had jotted down all those 50 names, he looked at those telephone numbers and then took a deep breath and then he started dialing those numbers one by one. The first one was Mrs. McGurgle. Good morning, Mrs. McGurgle. Gerald Durrell from the zoo here. I'm so sorry to worry you, but you have just been offered a baby gorilla at a very reasonable price, £1,200. Well, yes, but it's not expensive for a gorilla. So these dots mean then something was said by Mrs. McGurgle also. So this is how he started calling all the rich people one by one. The first one in his list was Mrs. McGurgle. So he called Mrs. McGurgle and he said that I am Gerald Durrell from the zoo and I'm sorry to trouble you, but we have just got an offer of a baby gorilla and that gorilla is being offered at a reasonable price. So these dots mean that she was replying, right? £1,200. Well, yes, but it's not expensive for a gorilla. So she might have said that it's £1,200. So we again tried to convince her that yes, but as far as gorillas are concerned, because they are the rarest species, so it's not too expensive for a baby gorilla. Well, I was wondering if you could. So then he expressed whatever he wanted Mrs. McGurgle to do. He said, well, I was wondering if you would care to purchase a small portion of it. Right? So he says that he doesn't want her to contribute for the entire gorilla that is £1,200. He only says that I would expect you to contribute something, some portion, right, of this baby gorilla. Say a leg or something. So it doesn't mean that she's actually contributing a leg or what it means that a small amount, because the entire gorilla was of £1,200. So a small portion means contribute a small amount of money which will just fetch a leg. So in this way he will be able to accumulate money and collect money to buy the entire gorilla. So he is trying to be humorous here. So he says that I was wondering if you would care to purchase a small portion of it. I just want you to contribute so that to a small portion of that baby gorilla, say a leg or something, you would. So then Mrs. McGurgle agreed. She said, yes, that's immensely kind of you. Thank you very much indeed. Goodbye. And then he thanked Mrs. McGurgle and he hung up. Right? So this is how he started calling people that please contribute some amount of money to buy a small amount of that gorilla, right? By lunchtime, I had collected £200. So in this way, by calling the numbers from the list which he received from Hope, he was able to collect £1,200 because all these rich people, they made small amounts of contribution, and in this manner, he accumulated £1,200 out of £200 out of £1,200. Only another 1,000 to go, and the gorilla was mine. What does this show about the narrator? What can you make out about the narrator? Give me one character trait of the narrator. Can anyone tell me? What type of person was he? Yes, Aditi. Please unmute.
He was very optimistic.
Yes, he was very optimistic. He didn't have a penny in his pocket, but he was thinking of buying a baby gorilla. He was already under a lot of loan from the bank, right? His wife was not his wife didn't agree to his idea. Everyone was against his idea. Even Hope mocked at him. But when he told about his idea to her, she kind of said discouraging words also, that I don't think it's going to work. The people of this island, they won't contribute anything. So everyone tried to discourage him. He even had his own doubts that it is quite possible that it might not turn out to be a gorilla, it might be just a chimpanzee. So he had all those things in his mind. Still, he was very optimistic. Right? So we come to know that he was a very optimistic person. By lunchtime, he was just able to collect 200 pounds, and he thinks like this, and only another 1,000 to go. So this only another 1,000 to go tells us his optimism. That I've been successful in collecting 200 pounds, now only $1,000, right? So this is the height of his optimism, and the gorilla was mine. It was at this point that I discovered the next person on the list was Major Domo. So then he came to the next person in his list, and who was he? He was Major Domo. I had never met him, and I had no idea how he would react to the suggestion that he might buy a bit of gorilla. So this person was not acquainted to the narrator at all, right? He was a stranger to Mr. Duran. So he had his doubts. He said he didn't have any idea how will this person, that is Major Domo, how would he react when he will talk to him in this fashion, that whether he's interested in buying a small amount of baby gorilla or not. To my immense relief, the suggestion seems to amuse him. But he was kind of, see, once you are talking to a stranger, you have your own doubts. To my immense relief. What is the meaning of to my immense relief? He was kind of relaxed and relieved. See, once you are talking to a stranger, you don't know a person, you have your own doubts, right? How will the person react? Whenever you meet a person or you talk to a person for the first time, you are kind of doubtful and skeptical about his nature, about his behavior. How will he react to my words and statements? So the narrator, that is Mr. Dural, also had his own doubts, and he said that, but when once he talked to that person, to my immense relief, he was relieved that the suggestion seemed to amuse him. When he spoke to him like this, are you interested in buying a bit of gorilla? So this amused him. He was kind of happy to listen to these words, or he chuckled, and then he chuckled. Chuckling is a white smile when you don't laugh loudly, and then you chuckle. How much is it? He asked. So then Mr. Domo, Major Domo, he inquired, what is the cost of this baby gorilla? 1,200 pounds, I said. So he said that the cost of the baby gorilla is 1,200 pounds. And how much have you collected already? So he asked how much you have already collected. 200 pounds. Well, said Major Domo, you'd better come along this afternoon and I'll find you the balance. And I'll find you the balance means he agreed to pay the remaining 1,000 pounds, right? To say I was speechless means nothing. This was like too much for the narrator. That is why he says to say I was speechless. He was kind of speechless. He was surprised because he was not expecting a stranger to contribute such a huge amount of money, to contribute 1,000 pounds, right? So that's why the narrator is saying, if I say that I was speechless, that is nothing. I was even something more than that, which I cannot express. When I had gone to the telephone, I thought, why? Because this was something which was unexpected by him. When he had gone to the telephone, I thought there might be a chance of getting 25 pounds, possibly even 50. 100 would have been beyond the dreams of Everest. Everest means greed, right? Greed for money, greed for wealth is Everest. So when he had gone to the telephone to call Major Domo, what was in his mind? That maybe he might contribute 25 pounds, or he might contribute 50 pounds, or even to imagine him contributing 100 pounds would be like too much. Going beyond the dreams of Everest means becoming too greedy, even beyond crossing the dreams of Everest. These the dreams of greed, going beyond it. So he was not even expecting him to contribute 100 pounds. 100 pounds was like imagining too much. And here was Major Domo handing me the baby gorilla on a platter. On a platter means, to hand something on a platter means to give something very easily and without fuss means when you get something without too much effort or without working too much. So that is to give something on a platter, right? So, and then what happened to him? Mr. Dobo kind of handed him the baby gorilla on a platter. Means he made it very easy for the narrator to have baby gorilla by contributing the balance amount that was 1,000 pounds. So to speak, I stammered my thanks. Means he was under such a great shock with speechless that he was not even able to thank him properly. He stammered his thanks. Means he was not able to speak properly. Slammed down the telephone and rushed round the zoo, telling everyone of the fact that we were going to have a baby gorilla. Because now he was sure he has made arrangements for the money, and so he was sure that baby gorilla will be there in the zoo. And so he was so happy that he just slammed the receiver, slammed the telephone, and then rushed down the zoo. Then to the zoo, rushing, telling everyone that very soon we are going to have a baby gorilla in the zoo. The great day came, and I flew over to London airport to collect the food. And he went to the London airport to collect the food. That is the month. My one fear now was that when I arrived there, it would turn out to be a chimpanzee. So now only one fear was left, and that was that on reaching the London airport, on seeing the animal, it might not be the gorilla and it might be a chimpanzee. That was a possibility. Right? The dealer met me and escorted me to the room in the animal shelter of the Royal Society for the prevention of cruelty to animals. So this animal, that is baby gorilla, was kept there. Right? Animal shelter of the Royal Society for the prevention of cruelty to animals. So the animal was kept there, and the animal dealer took him to that place, that is the animal shelter of the Royal Society. He threw open the door, and the first thing I saw was a couple of baby chimpanzees sitting on the table, meditatively chewing bananas. Right? So when the door was opened, when the door of that animal shelter was open, the first thing which he saw was baby chimpanzees sitting there, and they're sitting on the table of that animal shelter, and they were meditatively chewing bananas. Meditatively means very thoughtfully, in a very relaxed manner, right? Enjoying the bananas. They were enjoying the bananas and very thoughtfully. My heart sank, and I had visions of having to go back to Jersey empty-handed. And as it is, there were doubts in his mind. He was kind of skeptical that he might not get a gorilla. Instead, he might get a chimpanzee. And the moment the door opened and he saw the chimpanzees eating the banana there, his heart sank. Means he felt depressed. And now he thought that he will have to go back empty-handed. He is not going to get any gorilla there. But the dealer walked over to a crate in the corner and opened the door. Crate means a container. So it was a huge container in which the gorilla was there. So, but the animal dealer just crossed those chimpanzees and walked to one corner of the room and then opened the door, and Nkongo walked into my life. And then the moment the door was opened, the narrator saw Nkongo, who was a baby gorilla, and this is how Nkongo entered the life of the narrator. He stood about 18 inches high. This is important. This is the description of Nkongo, which is important, and was quite the most handsome and healthy looking baby gorilla. So the handsome and healthy looking baby gorilla, his height was 18 inches, I had ever seen. He strolled stalkingly across the room towards me and then held up his arms to be lifted. So what did the gorilla do? He walked stalkingly. Stall means to walk with ease, right? When you walk in a very calm, relaxed manner, that is strolling. So stalkingly. Stalkingly means what do you mean by stalkingly? See, the gorilla was just 18 inches in height. Nobody, can anyone tell me the meaning of stalking? What is stalking? No. Fine. See, the height of the animal was just 18 inches, right? So the gorilla was not very tall. But then the gorillas, they have a wide chest, right? The shoulders are wide and the chest is also very wide. The chest of the gorilla is also very wide. So short and wide chested, that is stalking. Stalking. Across the room towards me and then held up his arm. And then what did he do? The moment this gorilla, that is Nkongo, saw the narrator, what did he do? He walked towards him and then lifted his arm up. Like you must have seen a small child doing it when he wants you to pick him up. So he does that, right? So he walked in a stalkingly manner. It's not stalkingly, it's a stalkingly manner towards the narrator, and then he lifted his arms in the air, expecting the narrator to lift him up. Small children also do it. Held up his arms to be lifted up. I was amazed at how heavy he was for his size. So he was heavy for his size. So his size was small. He was just 18 inches. Right? His height was just 18 inches, but he was heavy. And I soon realized that this was all solid bone and muscle. There was not a spare ounce of fat on him. And the moment the narrator lifted him up, he realized that there was no fat in his body, right? It was just solid. The weight of this baby gorilla was just solid bone and muscle, right? Means he was a very fit and healthy gorilla without an extra ounce of fat. There was not a spare ounce of fat on him. His light chocolate colored fur, this was the color of his fur, was thick and soft. His fur was also thick and soft, and the skin on his hands, feet, and face was soft and glossy as patent leather. So it means that the gorilla was in a very good condition. The animal was very healthy because his skin was glossy, his skin was shining, and it was soft. So this shows that it was very healthy. His eyes were small and deep set, twinkling like chips of coal. So his eyes were small and deeply set into his head, and they looked like small pieces of coal. He lay back in my arms and studied me carefully with an unwinking stare. So, because the narrator lifted the baby gorilla, he lay in his arms and then he was studying the narrator carefully. Unwinking stare. Unwinking stare means without blinking your eyes. So he didn't close his eyes, he was just staring at the narrator. And then lifted a fat and gentle forefinger and investigated my beard. And what did the gorilla do next? Then he lifted his finger, right? Lifted a fat, gentle forefinger. Forefinger is this finger. He lifted it up and then he poked the beard of the narrator. I tickled his lips and he wriggled about in my mouth. So what did the narrator do? He tickled his ribs, right? And then he started wriggling in his arms. Wriggling means twisting and turning in his arms because the narrator was tickling his ribs. Giggling hoarsely. Giggling hoarsely means laughing in a very hoarse, rough sound. His eyes shining with amusement, and he seemed to be amused and happy. So why did the narrator do this? This was like the ice breaking thing. He wanted to be friendly. He wanted to befriend this baby gorilla. So that is why he started tickling his ribs, and because he was staring unwinkingly at him, right, without winking his eyelids. So he was staring at him. So the narrator tickled his ribs, and then very soon they were friends, and the gorilla was comfortable with the narrator, shining with amusement. So the gorilla seemed to be amused now. I sat him down on the convenient table and handed him a banana. So then the narrator just kept the gorilla on the table and then gave him a banana, which he accepted with little bear-like growlings of pleasure, which he accepted and then made sounds of pleasure. He made sounds which were like an expression of happiness, right? And ate very daintily compared to the chimpanzee. Ate very daintily means in a very careful manner. He ate So he ate the banana very daintily. Dainty means in a very attractive and in a very careful manner in comparison to the chimpanzees who were stuffing their mouths as full as they could. So if you must have seen these apes and monkeys eating bananas, they stuff as much as it is possible for them to fit in their mouth, right? So, but this animal, that is gorilla, was eating in a more decent manner in comparison to the chimpanzees who were just stuffing their mouth with bananas as full as they could. I wrote out the check and then he bundled in Congo, growling protest. So then he wrote the check of 1,200 pounds and gave it to the animal dealer, and then bundled and Congo means then and Congo was packed in the container again. Growling protest. Growling protest means he didn't want to be packed again, right? He wanted to be free. So he didn't want to go into the container again. But so he was protesting. The animal was protesting. That is, the baby gorilla was protesting. But they were not given any fees. These protests were ignored and was packed back into the crate and went off to catch the plane for Jersey. And then he left along with the animal along with the gorilla, to catch the plane for Jersey. I think we should stop here and we'll continue further on the next time. Thank you.